It's 7 o'clock after dinner on Monday. I really wanted to get the lettering done during the day, but like I said, I wasn't feeling good, and then I've been hanging out with the kid, just had to pull a little bit of late duty. Finished dinner at 7. I'm off duty now. Normally I would be off a little earlier. I do plan, health issues notwithstanding, of going back to the lettering to just blast through that tonight if I can. I looked at it a little bit, and I sent an email to my buddy because he had sent a note, and some of it was like, I'd given him revision notes, and some of it was like, hey, I understand this, I don't understand that, whatever. Here's my thoughts, fine. But one of the things he said was like, embed images, outline all fonts. And I'm like, what? But he didn't, I'm like, is this something he wants me to do? Is this something he's doing? How do I do that? I don't know what that means. So I asked him that. The other thing was, he had asked me what format I wanted, and I'm having flashbacks to the last 2 issues. The first one had my buddy Keith letter. Well, I did like the first 5 pages, then he lettered the rest. And the last one was my buddy Dave, who's doing this one. And I'm having flashbacks to weird formatting stuff, because he does the lettering in Adobe Illustrator. I set everything up in Photoshop. I don't even have Illustrator. I've had it once or twice. I hate it. I don't understand it. Never use it, which is part of why I don't do lettering, because lettering is super hard in Photoshop. Or at least it was the last time I tried. It might have gotten better now. I don't know. So he's like, what format do you prefer? And I'm like, well, Photoshop, because that's what I'm going to be setting it all up for print. And he's like, okay, well, I could send it an AI file, or I could also send a PDF. And I'm like, whatever, but Photoshop is the best. And so what he did was, and I applaud the idea that he was covering his bases, but he sent all 3 formats. So he did all the revision pages in all 3 formats, but none of them really work exactly right. So the After Effects, I keep saying After Effects, the Adobe Illustrator files, when I bring them in, they're flat. So there's a transparency and his notes, and then the balloon, and then a ghost image of the art, all one layer. And when I'm importing it, I don't see an option to import one layer. Maybe there's an option to do it, I don't see it, but there's all this extra information I don't need that is then flattened. So they're essentially useless, and it doesn't matter because I didn't want that format anyway, so fine, whatever. The other one is a PDF, which is somewhat more useful, but it's kind of not lined up perfectly, and there's no art under it. I'm just kind of guessing where it goes, and I'm kind of having to nudge it, and sometimes it's just one balloon, the balloon for panel 3, which I could place where I want, but as a letterer, I feel like he had a place he wanted it, and it's also more work for me. What I want is I'm giving him a Photoshop file, and I guess he doesn't do the lettering in Photoshop. He does an Adobe Illustrator, and I'm not talking behind his back. This is what I'm trying to clear up right now, because I don't think we've ever really had a good discussion about this. Because what I want to get back is a Photoshop file with the final art that I gave him, and a new layer that is lettering that's done. And that's not what I get. I get sort of piecemeal, or if it's a full thing, I sometimes have to shift it over to the left or right, or size it up or down by a few pixels. And it's just effort I don't want to have to put in having hired a letterer. And I'm also kind of now modifying his work. And I'm remembering now on the second issue, he lettered it, but I was a ghost letterer. He lettered it 80%, and I had to go in and adjust and change almost everything. And I think at the time there was a time constraint. Maybe he couldn't work on it. Maybe I didn't want to wait for him to work on it. But there's also an awkward, I don't know, I was just feeling he's my friend, and he's working for me, and I don't want to nitpick everything he's doing, so I'll just make these changes. This time I'm actually asking for the changes being made, but again, and he's making them, and he's being really cool and easy to work with, but the formats I'm getting are just weird. And I don't know how lettering normally works. I've never been a letterer. I've done coloring and other things. I've never been a letterer except on my own stuff. And the only 2 letterers I ever hired were semi-pro, where they're artists but not professional letterers. And both times I had kind of weird issues like this. So anyway, that's what I'm dealing with. But I'm going to go through, I sent him an email about this already. Hey, here's some issues I'm having, blah, 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 blah. I don't understand what that note meant. Here's page 1. And I even said, because I sent him and one of them was he accidentally did the new revised lettering on the old art that I had sent him a rough a million years ago. But in Dropbox, which is where we're sharing files, I've been here's all the finished art. Every page is now done, finished, locked art, And I think he just used his old file. And I think 2 reasons. Well, I know this because in one of the ghost images and the file I can see is not the current art. And I only noticed that because he made a note about one of the characters saying this might be better if this character was bigger and the balloon was behind them. And I'm like, what? The character's very big. And then I saw in the ghost image, they used to be small. When I finished the art, I made them bigger. So it was a good note he gave me, a good art note. But I had already done it. But he wasn't looking at the finished art. And the other problem is, one of the Photoshop files, or maybe more than one, he sent me, aside from maybe not necessarily lining up the way they need to, or maybe they do line up, but they're lower pixels. They're lower resolution. So like, I may have given him, or he may be working on like the old rough files, or I don't know, but when I imported it, it's just like half the size it needs to be. When I scale it up, it loses resolution because it's, you know, a PSD and not a vector, which makes sense, but it should be the right size natively. Anyway, this is all stuff I got to deal with tonight. I'm going to do my best. And I said to him too, I'm like, I can work with this. I can make it work, but it just seems like extra effort on his part and extra effort on my part to get something that might not be exactly what either of us want. So it just seems wasted effort all around. That being said, Kickstarter continues to be stagnant. I did get one new bid today, or bid backer, which is nice. It was a small one. It was a digital one issue, and that's appreciated, of course. And I love, you know, the fact that it went up at all made my heart flutter. But today's been a week, so there's like 3 weeks left. I'm at like 75% funded. So again, I believe I'm going to fund, but today was the last day of the early bird special, and I tried to really, I promoted the final art for the third variant cover that Kevin did I did the logo treatment. So I promoted that, and I promoted, hey, last chance to do early bird. And I really thought between those two things, like new art by an artist that we have friends in common and followers that he has that I don't have, and that combined with the last day of the early bird, I really thought I'd catch a couple more backers. I do know I have some friends that I'm pretty sure will back it that haven't yet. So again, like even if only a few more people back it, I'll make my funding. But it's just a bummer that, like, I knew I'd hit a dead period. I didn't think that dead period would be starting with day 2. So yeah. 4:30 Tuesday, I went to the coffee shop and finished up a Godzilla that was, excuse me, to be for advertising, I guess. To give me something to post that wasn't the horror but was related to the horror. So I did that, and I shared it everywhere, and I made a TikTok video, blah, 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 blah. But I also was like, also the horror at the end of it. That took most of my time. When I got home, I had to take care of a few things, and then I've been working on some lettering revisions, which again is, I like working with my buddy Dave, and he does cool stuff with the sound effects and everything like that. But it's just, yeah, you know, it takes me a long time. It's not like, here's the lettering, it's done. And I'm not talking about revisions, because if I ask for revision, that's my own fault. But like, I don't know. I just don't want, I don't know. I got to talk to him before we do another project like this, because I like his work and I like him, but there's got to be a better way. Meanwhile, I got to go get the kid and do some laundry and other stuff, and hopefully I can get back to this later. I got to do this and the pins and stuff I need to do. Stuff I need to do. No new backers. For a walk after dinner. Ate too much rice. We had Chinese food, which seems like it's healthy, but it's not. Or, well, let me rephrase that. I don't know if it's healthy. I feel like it's not, but it always sits in my stomach like, bleh. And I don't even eat meat. It's just like egg foo young and rice and spring rolls. And granted, I probably ate too much rice, but anyway, I'm going for a walk, so that's good. But, yeah, I'm all over the place. I did that Godzilla picture, and I have been all over with that. I was happy. I was upset that it took so long to finish, because it's not even like a super tight drawing. It's sort of like a digital pencil at best. But then I was happy that I was able to use it to share the Kickstarter all over and make a TikTok video and everything. And then I was disappointed that I didn't get a single more campaign pledge once again. But then I was like, well, then I was looking, I made an Etsy sale, and I was on Etsy for some reason, and I was looking at Godzilla drawings I had done. And when I was doing the Godzilla, I was having a hard time with the sort of up angle and the open mouth. And I kind of drew it a few times, and that's something I've always had difficulty with. But I've gotten better, and I wasn't struggling as much as I had been. But I redrew the head a bunch of times, trying to get it to look correct perspective, but also on model and still look like a cool picture. And, you know, I ended somewhere where I wasn't thrilled with it, but I'm like, this is good enough, especially since if I do anything else with it, which I might not, but I would give it another pass. And I was like, oh, here are some Godzilla pictures. Oh, in this one, they're kind of looking up, but this is the legendary American one. It's different anatomy, it's a different angle. And then right next to it, the one I did a sketch of was a Heisei era 90s. Was a Heisei era 90s one with Mothra, and it kind of had its head up like that, but I kind of cheated it, so it was almost a profile. And the more I looked at the body, the texture of the arms and all this stuff, which is one of those things where I did it years ago, but I still sell it. And I kind of don't even really look at it. Like, I know it exists. People tell me they like it, they buy it, but I don't really examine it. And it was very similar to the drawing I had just done in terms of the Godzilla. And I spent way less time on the one I did today, even though I spent a couple of hours. The other one was like, 10 hours or whatever. And the one I did today was better, noticeably better. So then I was feeling pretty good about myself again. I'm like, oh, I guess I have gotten better drawing Godzilla. And then I looked at where I posted on TikTok. TikTok's weird for me because I don't post there very often. Like, I won't post for weeks or months. And then when I do, I'll get like 800 views or something, and 1,000 views. Doesn't translate necessarily into fans or sales, but at least I'm like, well, a lot of people saw it. And because I only have like 174 followers on TikTok. And what did I do? And so the last couple days I've been posting more than I ever have because I'm trying to promote the Kickstarter, so I'm posting it on there. And there's those dogs again. And most of the ones I'm posting are getting like between 100 and 200 views, which actually seems appropriate for the amount of followers I have. I don't know how people live like that. It drives me nuts just walking by. If I lived in that house, oh. But anyway, sometimes they go higher. Like I said, like 800, 1,000, 1,200. It's not unheard of for my posts. But lately I've been getting, 180, 200, 150, whatever. I'm like, okay, maybe because I'm coming back consistently, it's not rewarding me with that big boost of not being here for a while. The Godzilla one, which I posted earlier today in the afternoon at some point, as of now has, I think, 6 views. 6! The lowest of all time. And while the Godzilla drawing isn't my best artwork ever, it's certainly on par. It's certainly good enough for the type of art I normally do. And it's Godzilla. Usually, on any social media platform, if I post random art, I'm just going to make up numbers here. Let's say I post a random piece of art that's decent, my quality. I get 100 likes, let's say, or 100 views, whatever. If I do something of niche interest to me, or of the horror, it gets like 30 views or 30 likes, or like maybe even less, but like average. My own personal stuff is lower, but if I put something like Godzilla that's popular and I can hashtag Godzilla and all the Godzilla fans, it'll be like double, triple, quadruple, go up to 1,000, whatever. So the fact that I did a Godzilla one and it did worse than the one of my head talking over art from my comic, and then I was like, okay, well, that's it. My face needs to be in it to do better. They're like, well, then no, that's not true, because the last 3 videos I did with my face, that's the first time I've ever done it on TikTok. Previously, I mostly would just have a song over art, process videos. I'm like, oh, so it's because I didn't have a song, I was talking. But then I looked back further and I'm like, no, I have other videos where it's just my art on the screen of me talking that have hundreds and hundreds of views. So like, TikTok makes no sense. Makes no sense.
Hey, what's going on? It's me, Gazbot, and I'm working on a picture of Boots, the human protagonist of my independent kaiju comic, The Horror A4. There's a campaign on Kickstarter going on right now for issues 1 through 3 that you can find at thehorrora4.com, or go to Kickstarter and search for Gazbot projects or kaiju comics. This particular art is being done as art for a pin. Some people call them badges, some people call them buttons, but it's the little circles, usually, that you can attach to clothing and other fabric and things. There's a 6-pin set that is one of the rewards that you can find, including art from me, Frankie B. Washington, and Kevin Schmidt. Thanks.
I'm in the garage. It's Wednesday. Went to the coffee shop for about an hour, and I basically did social media blitzing again. I got 1 new supporter since yesterday, so that's nice. And then I started inking that Godzilla sketch I did digitally, but that was never the point of it. It's like, well, maybe I'll turn it into a print, but the whole point was to make it analog, which I couldn't do there. And it was weird because I was like, oh, it's coming together, and the part I was having a hard time with when I ink it, it's fixing it. But then I'm like, no, I have a ton of stuff to do at home. Go home, be productive. So I've got about an hour and a half before I got to pick up the kid, so I'm going to try to be productive at stuff at home. 11 o'clock. I ordered the pins, all 6 pins. I put in, I use half-price buttons. Put that order in. I only got 20 each, which should be enough to cover the Kickstarter and have some extra. But in the past, I've made the mistake of getting tons. And at 20 with 6 designs, that's 120 total. The discount is low enough for the bulk that I'm getting an okay price. If I went a little higher, I can get it a little lower, but you get like a really big break initially, and then it's a few cents at a few cents. I'm happy with that. I'm happy that I got it in. I did the slowest shipping, and it'll still come in plenty of time. I'll probably even have it for at least one of the 2 next shows I have coming up in less than a month. I also am working on assembling the next Gazbot video, and I did. Oh, and I had a lot of back and forth with my letterer. We're really close to being done with that. He's working on the final pages now and the final revisions now. And we talked a little about the file formatting stuff that I was talking about. And it's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Let's just get this done because we're almost done. And in the future, we'll discuss it ahead of time and try to figure out why it's importing the way it is. But for now, good. I had an early pickup for the kid today, which is Wednesdays for, again, whatever reason. And she wanted to go to the park. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll do that. Then we got to go to Albertsons to pick up a regular food order and buy snacks because this is Teacher Appreciation Week. The amount of involvement in special events on a like almost weekly basis surprises me, especially at this young age. I don't remember ever doing anything at all in school or my parents knowing what was going on. So I think it's a combination of me being more involved and school being different. But anyway, after that, we're gonna go back to the house and then she's gonna do independent play. And I have 3 Etsy orders, I think, to pack up. And then, so after, and I'll try to get some work done, maybe put the sticker in, because I already put the pins in. And then afterwards, after independent play, then we have to go to the post office and the comic store. And then at some point a bath, and I'm on late duty today and tomorrow. So I don't know how much more work I'll get done. There's 2 more episodes of Andor to do. I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I was saying this to Tech Advisor Azuki. I'm a little disappointed in the stagnation of the Kickstarter. But in the last couple days, I hadn't had any Etsy sales for a few weeks, which is unusual. I average, I want to say like, I'm really just number averaging. This isn't actually true, but I average like a sale a week on Etsy, maybe, let's say, maybe 2. But that's not accurate because sometimes I'll get 3 in a week and then not get 1 for a week. So let's say I get 4 a month maybe on average, not including holiday months like December. And I hadn't got any for a few weeks. And in the last couple days, last week, I think I've gotten 4 sales and fairly big ones, totaling, you know, close to $300, which is awesome. But because I haven't had, and here's the thing, if I had had $300 of pledges to my Kickstarter, I would have funded and I think even gotten the first stretch goal and maybe part of the way to the next one. I'd be ecstatic. But getting that much on Etsy, I'm like, cool, good. That's some money I can use and people like my art. And it's not that I don't appreciate it. And in any other time, I'd be like, wow, that's great. And it is great. But I'm so focused on wanting my Kickstarter to do well that I'm like, I wish these people would buy my Kickstarter instead of my Etsy. And it's just completely different audiences that like the people on Etsy probably don't even know I have a Kickstarter going and or are not interested in my personal comic. They just want my Godzilla Power Ranger prints, which is a lesson I keep learning, that like you would think there's a cross-pollination there, and maybe to a certain extent there is, but someone who will spend hundreds of dollars on my Godzilla art won't spend $10 or even $5 in person to get my comic that's about a giant monster. So it's a lesson I keep learning. But the thing is, I'm trying to be grateful for the Etsy sales while at the same time being disappointed in my Kickstarter. Wednesday, I just dropped the kid at school. I'm about to have some food and begin work here. I'm not at a coffee shop today. I have some stuff to do with the computer. I've fallen really behind on like life and house stuff between my mom being sick and Disney and trying to get the comic going. I'm not going to do any promotion of the comic today online. I've been pushing it super hard. I'm going to give it a day off. And I'm going to get house stuff done. Later, I am going to see my mom with the kid, and I will have some free time there, although I'm also going to have to talk a lot of scheduling with her because I have a trip coming up to Brooklyn and a few other things that I'm going to need her help to help Tech Advisor Azuki with the child. Meanwhile, yesterday, I had 3 backers. One from another creator who I don't know, but just, I guess, decided to back it, which is cool. And 2, as I believe a direct result of my buddy Ox, who's also a comic creator, sharing an awesome photo, or drawing art. He shared art right here of his character from I Never Forgot and his version of the horror for me. This is not the first time he's drawn my character, but this is awesome. I especially like this one where they're huge, standing over the city and everything. And so I appreciate that art, which is just cool. Anytime somebody does art of my characters, cockles warmed. But also I'm 90% sure his sharing it got me 2 more followers. So I got 3 backers, I should say, yesterday. which is great in and of itself. But the fact that they came from fellow creators and the community, as it were, makes it all the sweeter. And I've been living in a negative funk a little, not real, but just about my own stuff, just about my own art, my own personal creation art, like my print art and my sketch card art and life in general has been fine. But my own, like, what am I put so much effort into this? Why do I bother? Nobody cares, blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. And I still have that, and I probably always will. But, days like yesterday makes it a little better, so thanks. Laundry.
Still laundry. Still laundry. More laundry. More laundry. Kitchen garbage. Kitchen recycling. That's gotta go out. But first, cat litter. Okay, I took out all the garbage, put it in the can, dealt with that. What am I gonna do next? New box of litter I gotta put away. Got the new box of cat food I gotta put away. This is furniture that needs to be built. I'm not dealing with that. These are going to a comic and toy show with me in a few weeks. That's furniture that's half built. I think I'm gonna go upstairs and do something up there. All right, phone calls. Had to talk to my doctor, and I talked to a friend about some stuff. Now what am I doing? I am thinking about hygiene and dyeing my hair because I need to shave and shower. And if I set some dye in my hair, then I could do some other stuff while that's setting. All right, I've shaved. I have plastic gloves. Rinsed my hair. Now I'm gonna blue my hair. Then I'll do something with blue in my hair and take a shower. And probably at that point, it'll be time to pick the kid up. Blue. Some lettering notes, revisions. It looks like there's 2 pages that have to be finished and 3 that need to be revised, and then lettering's all done. Once that is done, I could do the final format and send the issues out for a test print, or an issue out for a test print, I should say. Although I wonder, I should probably get a test print of each of the covers, but I'm not gonna do that until I'm happy with the inside and everything else. And I need to lay it out. Yeah, I need some more work to do to get it ready to print, even a test print. But now I have a little bit of time before shower and pick up the kids, so I'm gonna play some Star Wars themed Fortnite. All right, it's 11:30. I am going to take a shower, rinse out my hair, and what I did, I after the lettering and a game of Fortnite, I had the buttons, pins I sent in, and then they sent each one for approval, so I did the approval on that. And I did something else. I can't remember what, something else on my to-do list, but I'm gonna take a shower and go pick up the kid now. More laundry. Baby hummingbirds at my mom's house. And I got the labels printed and put them on the packages. That was the other thing I did. So I hung out here for about a half hour, caught up with my mom a little bit, helped her move a thing she needed moved. They're gonna make some deviled eggs. I'm gonna go to the coffee shop around here that I haven't been to in weeks. I'm gonna work on some scheduling stuff. I'm not sure what else I'm gonna do. I might try to do some art, but I don't know. I'm gonna do something in the coffee shop. I basically got my ducks in a row as far as scheduling for trips I want to take, conventions I want to do, birthday plans for my significant other, etc. And I need to go over that with my mom to see what she could help with, if anything. Meanwhile, after that, I was gonna try to do make an iMovie. I use iMovie on my phone sometimes to do videos, and I was like, well, I'm gonna just do a video of like this current Kickstarter stuff, even though I'm like behind in my vlogs, just to make like a current Kickstarter. Hey, here's interest in what's happening right now, and maybe that'll get you to look at my campaign. And I spent a while getting all the files kind of into it, and then I realized they were out of order, and basically all the work I did was wasted, so that didn't happen. I did something else that I can't remember. I am going to stop at Target to see if they have that shredder I'm looking for, and then I'm gonna head back to my mom's to discuss scheduling, and then head back to the house. One thing I've been doing on the side a little bit, I haven't been donating, committing. I haven't been using a lot of time. None of these are the words I'm looking for. I haven't been delegating. I haven't been assigning. I've been giving time to something, using a word that is a synonym for all of these, but none of these are the word I wanted to use. I haven't been using a lot of time on this. But what I've been doing is I have an idea. I have 2 more issues of the horror to go, and I have an idea for other horror storylines. Like, it can end here. I've said this many times. It's sort of like A New Hope Star Wars, where when George Lucas made it, he's like, well, if I never get to do another story, this is the whole story. But, you know, there are other stories I could do. That's how I am with the horror. It can end at issue 5, or if I want to, / there's demand, I have already know other ideas that would happen.
But I have another idea that I have lots of comic ideas, as all creators do. But you see how glacially slow I am, so I try not to think about them too much. But I have 2 ideas for other stories that are like semi-fleshed out. One was one that I was considering doing before the horror, but ironically, I'm like, that's going to be too big of a project. I better do the horror because that'll be a short 40-page one-shot. That turned out to not be true. I can only imagine the other one may have even gotten bigger. Who knows? But the other one is an idea I've come up with since working on the horror, that theoretically, when I finish the horror, if I wanted to do another comic different, this is what I would do. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to muddy the waters, and who knows if it'll ever happen. But every now and then I just think of ideas and jot them down, and I've been working on some designs and kind of struggling with them on the side. And when I was going through my iPad just now, I found a sketch I had done, I don't know, a couple months ago of this design of this character I was trying to do, and I'm like, that's not perfect, but that's way better than everything I've been sketching the last couple days. So the point is, I shouldn't be putting any brain power into this other project right now. But I guess it's just a little bit of a creative escape from the creative pursuit I'm in. I don't know, it's weird. But after, it's one of those things where I probably wasn't happy with it at the time, but after doing a bunch of worse designs, I'm like, that was not so bad. That was not so bad. It's like the way I look at the prequels after seeing the sequels in Star Wars. Everything comes back to Star Wars. Okay, bye.